What is up, everybody? Tyler here with Teach You University for the card game UniVersus, and today I'm going to be showing you my Spike 2 deck that I built for this week's Retro Round 2 Campus Championship. This is a deck that I sort of built to test out something that I wanted to just see if it would work. It was really just something that I wanted to have fun with, and I think it's all right. I think it's good. I've been told otherwise, but I don't believe them. And I'm going to explain to you at home why this is actually a good deck and maybe you should consider playing it, or at least trying something out similar to it. Let's hop into it. So let's talk about what Spike 2 wants to do. He has the first ability of E twice per turn. You get after an attack resolves, you get a discarded from the card pool. This is very cool on defense sometimes, but we're mainly using it to make sure that abilities that say after an attack has been discarded from the card pool, do X, or get plus damage for X amount of cards that have been discarded from your card pool, and stuff like that. It's very good for that ability. And then just randomly you get to give something multiple one, which is really cool sometimes. It's very nice for a finisher to be like, here's an attack that's probably going to kill you. Here's multiple one to make sure that it definitely is going to kill you. That's sort of what Spike wants to do. He's very basic, I guess. There's not a whole lot that him as a character wants to really push the envelope with, but that's fine. I like him anyways. So the first card I'm actually going to be talking about is sort of the card that I built the whole deck around, and that is Superior Techniques. And it says form, discard one weapon card from your card pool, draw two cards, then discard this card from the card pool. That is absolutely nutty and air, or it would be if there were like really, really good air weapon attacks, but there aren't necessarily a whole ton of those. But I still love this ability for this sort of deck where I'm going to play an attack and then I'm going to play this, and I'm going to discard two cards from my card pool and draw two cards. That is awesome for what you want to do with this stuff. Again, for that like plus damage for however many cards have left your card pool this turn. It's awesome for that. And then sometimes you get to remove it after your opponent plays an ability that on their character card and pick up whatever the heck you want from your discard pile. So if there's something that you really need to kill your opponent, hey, don't play any abilities on your character because I'm going to get that card to kill you with it. So with that said, obviously all these attacks are going to have weapon on them. And the first one I want to talk about is Slash Claw. Now this is one of the cards that I've been getting a lot of guff for because people don't realize how good it is. This is basically just a fatality that does some stuff. First Enhanced Seal It, add the top card of your deck to your momentum, is awesome in this deck because your whole goal is kind of to discard the cards from your card pool, meaning that you're not getting any momentum. And this is now that I can give any attack multiple one with zero worry because I'll have the momentum that I need for killing you with it. I'm also playing Castor Oil Alive, which is very good to have this momentum for. This was like a sleeper hit in the deck that I put in just to like make sure that I had a good enough attack, and it actually turned out to be like crazy strong. It's also a 0 low block, and like 3 high for 5 or 3 mid for 5 isn't like anything to sneeze at, right? Especially when it's like about to leave your card pool and not count towards progressive. I think that's real good. It also has multiple one by itself, so you know, if you want to do that, that works. Next card I'm going to talk about is Flying Barcelona Attack. This is that if it deals less than printed, your next weapon is going to get plus 3 damage. Everything is a weapon. That's really cool. Damage is sort of something that you really want to have. And then if you've gotten hit a bunch, this discards itself for free. So you did make sure you get extra discards without using Spike's ability or any of the other abilities in the deck. Let's say you're going to be discarding cards from your card pool. It's just a little bit more free discard to make sure that last attack you're swinging in the turn is really going to kill your opponent. Next, MC3 Devastator Plasma Cannon. This is just the one of the best Spike attacks in the game. Commit to give it, ditch it, commit to give it multiple one. After it ditches ready Spike, ditch the multiple. It's just really good. 2 4 high for 9s for free basically is awesome. And while it's in the card pool, After your opponent plays an ability during this enhanced step, they burn 2 vitality. That was awesome. That's real cool. It's just a very, very strong attack in Spike specifically. Next target we're going to be talking about is Shadowblade Shuriken. This is only added 2 of because it's kind of required for you to have superior techniques out to get full advantage of it. But when you do, playing this, giving your next attack 2 damage, and then ditching this to draw 3 with superior techniques is like awesome. It's real cool. It's also a 5 mid for 5. Like, that's some awesome stats. And it's a 1 mid block. That's just a cool card. But it's flash, so there's a little bit of like interactivity that you don't get. But that's a good, sometimes be just a good thing. Like, just here's 5 damage, deal with it is sometimes all you need. Castor Oil Alive. This is like one of the best weapons in the game, or it's like Air's best weapon attack. But I'm not generating a whole bunch of momentum, so that's why it's added 2 of. But it is a 7 high for 5 that gets to destroy foundations when you do have momentum. So, you know, I think it's a pretty, I think it's a pretty good 2 of. This is just an extremely powerful card. And when you're at desperation, you get momentum. So, you know, or when they're at desperation, you get a bunch of momentum. So fuck them up a bit, and then it becomes a real good card. Next is a Dashing Shield Bash. This just says that, you know, if it deals, which it probably will because it's a 5 speed attack, your next attack is going to get more speed. It's just like a little bit extra guaranteed damage that you're pumping through. And then you ditch it with Spike, and you don't have to worry about a whole lot of stuff. It's just like one of the weapon cards is like, man, I just want a little bit more attacks in the deck, and this one seemed good enough for that. It synergizes well enough. And then the last one is actually Ace Maneuvers. So this isn't a weapon attack. I may have lied and said that all the attacks are weapon, but this card says it gets +2 damage for each card that's left your card pool this turn. That is like crazy good. It's just like a super killer. Like it's kind of required to just be like, all right, I've ditched a bunch of cards from my card pool. Here's this. I'm giving it +12 damage. Deal with it. Yeah, this is a super finisher. And it's just kind of like, I would never play Spike without this card. It's just too good in Spike specifically. So that's all my attacks. Next, we'll move on to actions and assets. At least the actions besides superior techniques. And that is Let's Cut Loose. Drawing cards is kind of required. You want to have a lot of attacks in a turn. And this just says you get to draw 1 free card and get a foundation if you want. You know? It's just like a one of the best actions in the game. You should definitely be looking out for this and getting this if you don't have it already. I'd consider it a staple under any of the symbols that can play it. It's like kind of required. And then my asset in the deck is Archie and Nirvana. Being able to ready the foundations that you need, because like the goal of this deck is kind of to kill fairly early. So readying foundations when you need to is really, really good for that. Sometimes there's foundations that do cool stuff on commit, and being able to ready those is very nice. And then if your opponent plays a keyword, you get to cancel it. It is a good defensive piece, and it's a good offensive piece. I really like this card. And that's all my actions and assets. Next, we'll move on to foundations. The first group of foundations I want to talk about are what I would consider to be aggressive foundations. And they're pretty aggressive in the fact that most of these ditch cards out of your card pool. Like Weapons Master. This says that after one of your weapon cards deals damage, you get to flip it and discard it from the card pool. That is great for making sure that you don't necessarily have to use Spike's ability all the time. You can just be like, well, I hope that this attack is going to deal damage, which it probably will because it's like a 5 speed attack or a 7 speed attack. And then I'm going to discard it from my card pool and not have to use Spike to, do that. It lets you play around a little bit, and it makes your opponent think like, well, they didn't Spike, so they must be doing something with this attack in their card pool. I'll just not block and see what happens. Just a cool little piece, you know. Next, Finding What Is Lost. This is like required in this deck. It gets this says twice per turn you get +1 damage for each card that's left your card pool. Giving +4, 5, 6 damage is really, really strong. Like +4 damage because you have 2 out, because this is extremely easy to build, is just fantastic. It's an amazing like kill card. It's great. We're playing 3 Prideful Personality. Again, drawing the attacks that you need to draw is kind of mandatory. So flip, discard 2 foundations that you don't need, draw 2 cards is great. It gets the attacks in your hand that you really, really need. Next, the second Saintly Beast. Now I put this could be considered a defensive foundation. I usually put it in the defensive category, but I put it in offensive this time because plus speed really makes sure that your attacks go through that you want to go through. It's great for the weapon master, making sure that your attack deals damage so you can flip, discard it from the card pool, not worry about using Spike's ability, and just making sure that you get that damage out early enough that you get to kill your opponent. It's a great card. Next is Unknown Motives. Again, this is an offensive piece because it says that I get to ditch a card from my card pool without worrying about Spike. And it's reusable, but it is a commit effect, so it's also a 4-tech, so not the greatest, but you get to discard extra cards out of your card pool. Or you can play a foundation card, play an attack card, commit, discard the foundation card out of your card pool. Get extra little bit of incremental damage for all the abilities that require cards to be discarded from the card pool. And then the last offensive card is just like Unknown Motives, but it's a form commit, discard a card from the card pool, which I think is a little bit better because you get to like discard the Shadow Blade Shuriken. Where is it at? It's right here. You get to discard this from card pool and not have to worry, you know? Form, discard this, and draw a card. Is real good. It's real cool. And it's, again, reusable. It's just a 3-diff without a block, so that's why it's at a 1 of. But I really like that foundation a whole lot, honestly. And that's all my aggressive foundations. Next, we'll move on to the defensive ones. The first one is going to be Ageless and Wise. This is just a little bit of a staple defense. No, don't mess with my foundations. I don't want you to. And it's a 2 low block. Kind of self-explanatory. It's just awesome control against your opponent destroying your foundations. Next, Conquest of Terror. Minus speed for when it really, really matters. Flip for minus speed, you know? It's just great. It's a very, again, it's like a staple foundation. It's awesome to build. It's very easy to build. Got some really cool block. And it's very necessary speed hate to make sure that you can block the attacks you need to block. Again, with that, Dust in the Wind. R commit after your opponent gives an attack speed. Give that attack minus X speed. X equals double the speed bonus. So if they give it plus 2 speed, you give it minus 4 speed. Awesome. Plus 3 speed, minus 6 speed. Awesome. It's just like a crazy good speed hate card. Perfect for blocking. Again, good speed hit card is Evil Eye. A flip, return a speed, an attack to printed speed, make sure you can block it is real good. That's why it's in there. And it's playable while committed. Awesome. And it's also a 2 high block. That's not bad. And that's all my defensive foundations, I guess. So next, we move on to the category that I like to call my little helpers. And these are things that are not necessarily offensive or defensive, but a little bit of in between. They sort of elongate the turn however which way you want it. And first one we'll talk about is Tijuana Groceries. It just continuously readies itself by removing foundation from your discard pile, which is awesome on defense and awesome on offense, making sure that you get to just guarantee commit 1 foundation for free and then ready it back up. Great. Next, Soul Beats. Now, this is like one of my favorite foundations in the game. I know a lot of people might not like it, but it just says after you review it, if you have 2 foundations in your staging area, you get to build it down instead of reviewing it. I think that's like crazy good. It says that like turn 1, you get to safely build out your hand and hold 1 more foundation to either block with, or like if this wasn't a guaranteed build in because you had to play it on like a 4, you get to say no, actually I do get a guarantee build it in, and that's just great. Or like it is in here for like this is a safety block that I get a guarantee keep in my hand. So, and then if I don't use it, that doesn't matter. It just turns into a foundation. I don't have to do anything with it. I love Soul Beats. I love it a whole lot. And then the last one we'll talk about is Hell's Reach. This is just one of those stable foundations that I put in every single deck that can play it. It is extremely easy to build. The block isn't the best, but that's whatever. And committing it is like so fine because you gotta ready it back up. It's a free ready foundation whenever you want it to be. Awesome, great staple card. Make sure you start putting these in your deck if you are not already. And there you have it. That was my Spike 2 dot deck that I built under air. Sorry, that was a bit weird of a way to say it. I like this deck a whole lot. I got a little guff because my attack lineup's a little bit strange, but frankly, air doesn't have the best weapon attacks, and I really wanted to make sure that all my attacks besides ace maneuvers got to work off of superior techniques. I just thought the free +2 damage or +2 to the discard amount was really, really good and to draw 2. So yeah, I've been told that this attack lineup could be fixed a whole lot. So if you enjoyed this like concept of a deck, please improve on it. I would love to see it. I'd love to see what you come up with because it was honestly very hard to figure out what my attack lineup I wanted it to be. Because I didn't want to put too many attacks in the deck because then I would screw up my string of attacks. But maybe I wouldn't because I'm Spike. I don't know. It's something that I think if you like the character, you should definitely check out. I think it's a really, really cool way to build them. But with all that rambling out of the way, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It's the single greatest way you can help out the longevity of the channel. It shows YouTube that this is content that you might enjoy seeing, and they'll show it to you. If not, thank you for watching the video. That is way more than enough. It is greatly appreciated, and that's just it. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you for doing it. It by itself is more than enough. I've rambled too long at the end of this video that you're not watching. So with that, thank you for watching and have a wonderful night.